Hello, my name is Misha Sharif, and you're watching Decoding Careers, where I talk to professionals about their careers. Today we have Muhammad Rahman, who works as an RF engineer for Verizon Wireless. Now, here's some information about being a radio frequency engineer. On average, the salary for an RF engineer ranges from about $66,000 to $139,000. Radio frequency engineers need to have a degree in either computer science, IT, network technologies, or a related field. Licensure as a professional engineer is encouraged, but in general, it'll probably take about 4 years of schooling. So how are you doing today, Nisanko?
Very fine, very good. Thank
Good,
you.
alhamdulillah. One of the first questions that I like to ask people is, why did they decide to pursue this career? And it's always something that gives me insight to kind of just what kind of person that is and how they work, because this career obviously it's different from all the other careers, and it's something that you could have chosen or you couldn't have chosen. So what led you to choose this career?
That's a very interesting and nice question. See, the basic is communication, right? And in these days, because of internet and everything, you can see there is a exploding, desire or earning, honest, I would say, desire for communication, instant communication. So this field is a revolutionary area of work in that perspective. We are facilitating communication between individual from one side of the earth to the other side at the span of a twinkling of an eye.
So you chose this career because you really like the communication. That's really cool. So let's get started with the first question, which is, what 3 words best describe your profession and why?
I would say it's technologically, it's a revolutionary area of work. I work in drone support, drone business support, and implement or applying communication, telecommunications within drone business support. So that's really, really innovative and revolutionary area.
Okay. So I know I had talked about this earlier, but could you describe to me what educational background is required for your profession?
Typically, it's electronics or computer engineering. That's the foundational requirement, but other fields are merging as well, like aerospace. Part of aerospace is coming into for drone communications and all that, the area that I work. So it is a mixture of getting some fields coalescing into one.
Okay. And aside from obviously the educational background and like a bachelor's degree or whatever, is there any special certifications or trainings that are required or necessary for this job?
Well, there is always some kind of vendor trainings or specialized training that is required for the job, of course, because this is like application of electronics, IT, and aerospace, and there's a combination of all the fields, right? So there is a little bit of help needed from vendor. Specialized training. Other than that, pretty much you just read and you communicate and earn. I mean, yeah, innovation. It's just like read and apply. Yeah, I would say.
Okay. So obviously you want to further your knowledge with these certifications, and they always kind of help you keep up to date, obviously. So could you describe to me a typical day in your job?
The first thing I start off with is checking the emails. Of course, most of us will do that. Check the emails to see if there is any major deliverable or important deliverables for the day. Check to see, first of all, the meetings and other things that needs preparations, different levels, and see if there is sometimes we need to do some tests, remote testing needs that I do. Sometimes there are some results discussions or presentations that I do. So check different things and just customize what you need.
Okay, so it is a little bit varied, but I feel like radio, you are just there kind of in the field sometimes and you're at home sometimes, which I guess means it's really flexible. And obviously, because of that flexibility and because of that diversity, what do you think are the 3 most important skills needed for your job?
I think I would say, first of all, got to have an innovative mind and desire or motivation for success and hard work, of course.
Okay, so hard work, being driven, all of that stuff is definitely a lot, and it seems really simple, but it's stuff that as you go on can become really challenging at some points, or it can be really easy. So what are some challenges that come with being an RF engineer?
I would say, see, thing is like success depends on teamwork. Yes, individual performance matters a lot, but it's also like, for example, as I was saying, like integration of cellular with drones. So you need to have other teams involved in the work. So, I mean, sometimes it's challenging because of communication with differences, particularly in pandemics time. So communication with other departments and getting the delivery and all that becomes a challenge.
Oh yeah, especially because of COVID now, it's getting really hard to talk to people. And obviously COVID has died down a lot, alhamdulillah, but because there is just so many like restrictions now, talking to people can be just super hectic. And I definitely see that. Now, one of the ways I actually got in connection with you is because of Eileen, and Eileen is one of my really good friends. But that kind of asks, like, begs the question of how do you balance your personal life with your work life?
That's a good question. So the way I try to do it is compartmentalize the time. So essentially, like try to see this much time I would do for work, which is of course like a defined time. Sometimes you have to do a little bit more. Sometimes maybe a little bit less is okay, but maybe you can compensate for that time in the night or something like that. You always try to, you end up you working more, but you just like need to see when I can have to, or when I have to put some additional work, additional time, but schedule your time accordingly. So this much time for work, this much time for family, kids, and like that, friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so that is a really unique. I wouldn't say it's unique, but it's something I've seen commonly with everyone, and I really like the idea of just having like compartments and maintaining this proportion of balancing your work life and then also trying to like proportionalize like the amount of time you spend with your family, which I think is really nice, and keeping that proportion does definitely take a lot of balance. Now this is the most important question, and it is a question that I think everyone should be listening to. So to all the viewers, if you have not been paying attention, this is the time to pay attention. And the question is, what advice would you give to a high schooler who is trying to pursue this career?
That's a very interesting question and important questions for me. I love this question. As I have always do, have done always in my past, and I try to do. It's basically dream big, but follow on it. That's my advice. Just to mention that it was my dream to be an aeronautical engineer since I was a child. I followed through that, and although I switched my profession in USA in telecommunication area, but still now after a couple of years, I see my aerospace engineering and telecommunication has merged. So like I drone work in drone business support. So it's the same thing, and it is work is ever more interesting as I mean dreamt of it in the beginning of my career or in a student career.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for that
Welcome.
really insightful response and this entire interview. Thank you so much, everyone. This is Muhammad Rahman. He is a radio frequency engineer for Verizon Wireless. And Jazakallah khair so much for being here and taking this interview, Uncle.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.